So basically the plan here is Link is supposed to touch the Master Sword and that's going to turn him back into a human. That's the plan. Because Master Sword repels evil and the curse on him is evil, so clearly that must be able to save him, right? Because everyone knows an inanimate object can be evil. A curse. Well, I guess the curse can't do any good, so I guess that means it's evil, but it's not like the curse is breaking laws just to cause mayhem for its own personal pleasure. How can magic be evil? Yeah, that's the problem with the Wolf Link trying to sing Zelda's lullaby, is that it can't really go high enough, so he's unable to actually sing it correctly. Like, I get they just wanted to make it so that they had that song return for the sake of tradition, but still, it's not even in the right place. Like, why is it being sung here? Why do you need to sing a song to summon Skull Kid at all? It just feels very arbitrary. But not as arbitrary as the reason why this area is so bullshit. You see, it's called the Lost Woods, and I get that that's the point, but it doesn't change the fact that arbitrarily stealing the minimap from you and not even providing an actual map is bullshit. The only way that you can even remotely enjoy this place is to follow a guide and follow a map made on the internet. Just the sheer fact that there's no map makes you as lost as you are in the dungeons of Zelda 2. It's just so arbitrary that they randomly decide to take that away from you. And it's because of that, it's because it's so easy to get lost, that it renders this part of the game completely unenjoyable. And you have to go through it again, only worse. It's obnoxious how you have to constantly focus on running after Skull Kid and figuring out where the hell he is, when you constantly have these enemies being summoned to you. They're such a nuisance. And like, at least it gives you hints, like it'll briefly flash light in the areas where you're supposed to go, but only for a brief moment, and it's very easy to miss out on it. And as you can see, there's no map here, so you're pretty much guaranteed to be wandering around lost. No other Lost Woods did that. Like, Link to the Past Lost Worlds didn't. Link to the Past Lost Woods didn't do that. It still had a map. Although, when I think about it, when you looked at the map, you just saw a bunch of trees. You didn't actually see an actual map. But because the Lost Woods in that game wasn't so disorienting, and making it, it's because it was a top-down Zelda game. Like, it's not like you had a turning camera. Because in this game you have a turning camera, and that means that like in a top-down Zelda game, going up from your perspective is always going north. West is always west, east is always east, south is always south. But in a 3D game, you're constantly moving the camera around in order to keep on moving forwards while still moving in the direction you want to go. And this makes it a lot easier to get lost, because you suddenly don't know what direction you're headed anymore. There's no sense of direction at all. It's like this part of the game is just thoroughly unfun and nothing but padding. Why does Skull Kid make you go through this? Is he the same Skull Kid? Well, I guess he is, but like, no. Yeah, I think it is the same timeline from Majora's Mask. Like, Skull Kid and Majora's Mask, basically, Will got possessed by Majora's Mask, and that's why he tried to destroy a planet with the moon. Like, he tried to get the moon to actually slam into the planet and destroy it. That sure as hell one-ups blowing the moon in half. But yeah, like, I don't know if he's as evil as he was back then. Like, he wasn't really evil, Majora's Mask. He was just lonely because his friends, the giants, abandoned him. And then, at the end of the game, they were like, oh, we're still friends. Now let's promptly abandon you right away. And just assume you won't become evil again. It's a wonder he didn't try the same plan again. Well, I guess he didn't know where the mask was. It's like, why is Skull Kid doing this? Shouldn't he know that you're the hero and want to help you? Like if Skull Kid, he isn't necessarily evil in Ocarina of Time. What is his point of doing this? Like, this is supposed to be a game, but he must be insane then. Because this is just boring. Like, this is just so tedious. Like, he constantly spawns enemies, and the targeting system is absolute shit, so it constantly makes you target random enemies instead of him. Shouldn't he be a higher priority? And like, he's on a ledge, so you have to waste time climbing up it to get to him. By that point, he probably teleported away. And charging takes forever, and during that time, you're probably going to get attacked. So charging isn't always a safe way to attack him. You can actually get to Lanayru Province before beating Death Mountain. What you need is access to Kakariko Village in Twilight. Lure a cargo rock to the gate in the back of the village. Knock it over the gate with a jump attack. When it gets up, use Midna's energy field attack when it's directly over the gate, and Wolflink will jump over the gate, and he'll be able to reach Lanayru because the rocks blocking the way won't be loaded, and the Shadow Beasts won't appear at the bridge because they're not a human. When Link gets to the border of the two provinces, Midna will tell him not to go there, but nothing will happen if he does. Wait, so they actually programmed a message into the game? They actually thought ahead enough to realize that you might be able to go to a different province early, and made you... If they thought ahead that much, why didn't they just do something other than make Midna tell you, oh, you really don't want to go here, I promise you. Like, I'm pretty sure that if you get to Lanayru Province early before beating Death Mountain, you'll basically render the game impossible to beat if you don't know enough glitches. Cause you'll skip getting the bow, which is very important, like it's necessary to beat the escort mission because of the King Bublin bridge fight. So, like, really? Like, it is possible sequence break in this game, but there's no real point to it. It just makes it impossible if you don't know. Yeah, go left, down, right, up, left, up, left, down, right, and up. I looked up a guide for this, obviously. Because fuck doing this legitimately. At the very least, it makes it a tiny bit easier to memorize in that there's there's left, for example. There's times when you go in multiple directions. Like, you go in the same direction multiple times. But yeah, this isn't fun at all. So this is what guides are for. Don't do this without a guide. Because this is just bad. The thing is that one of them goes in the opposite direction that you do. I think it's the one on the right of Wolflink. So you gotta keep that in mind. But you have to make the move in a very specific path. I don't know why they decided to delay you like this. Like, I guess they were testing your wisdom, but you think that, like, this is a pretty challenging game. These are pretty challenging, unintuitive dungeons. You think they would have just assumed you were smart enough already because you made it this far. Like, the Lake Bed Temple wasn't taxing enough for your brain, really? Like, the thing is about that thing is it rewards planning ridiculously far ahead. And I can't do that. Because, like, I forget. Like, even if I tried to do it legitimately, I just forget what route I was planning to make. But why isn't Link dead? Like, well, I guess it's only the curse crystal on him that was evil. But why didn't the Master Sword just assume that he was an evil beast and kill him entirely? How is Master Sword sentient enough to know that it's just the curse crystal and not him? Well, I guess it's Fee in there? Like, Fee is just barely a presence in the Master Sword and Breath of the Wild. She can't talk, but she's in there. I don't really know how that works. I've never bothered playing that game. Mostly because of the overly large difficulty. Like, I've heard it's kind of hard to go back to the other Zelda games after playing Breath of the Wild, because you can climb basically any mountain you want. Which sounds like it would make you really spoiled for an adventure game. But yeah, this is very genre savvy of Midna. Like, basically, she decides to keep this thing so that you'll be able to turn into a wolf anytime you want. And if she didn't decide to do this, it would have been impossible for you to beat the game. Like, there's a whole bunch of different times where Link is very lucky that he was able to beat the game. Like, the bird in the Twilight just generously deciding to allow him to ride it so that he can get to Upper Zora River. He's very lucky he decided to do that. And he's also very lucky that Zant decided to, like, permanently turn him into a wolf earlier than this. And create the crystal around Hyrule Castle much earlier. Like, seriously, why? Why didn't he do that earlier? By the way, I really like how Midna looked when she had her arm around him. Like, that was really cute and adorable. Like, I like it when she's doing stuff like that with him. Like a good friendship. I don't really get what exactly these golden bugs are. Like, are they just normal bugs but golden? Are they magic? Are they like the equivalent of the light spirit bugs? But anyways, like say that Zant assumed that I might as well turn this guy into the Fonzie. Because, like, he says, hey! Like, he's supposed to say, hey, but I hear it, and then I immediately decide, oh wait, I have to start recording now. And by that point, he's already, like, I've cut off the H of his sentence. But yeah, I guess I'm assuming that the thing about Zelda is that, so I guess Zant is supposed to just assume that Zelda escaped. Like, how's he supposed to know that she sacrificed her life? So, wouldn't creating the crystal so that she's not able to come back to the castle, wouldn't that kind of defeat the purpose? Because she wouldn't be able to come back, and his soldiers wouldn't be able to bring her back. And like, again, what's the point of creating that castle? It just makes it obvious that clearly there's something going on. Because why would the world create that crystal around himself? If they were intelligent enough to make a crystal and security so that they wouldn't get invaders anymore, they would have done it a long time ago. And this is why it's so fun to go through this place as a wolf. I just absolutely love that they put this in the game. What I don't love, though, is this. Fuck you, Midna. Seriously? Really? Why did they decide this was a good idea? Oh, because we need realism in a game about an elf Link that can transform into a wolf. We need to portray the realistic consequences of this. Why can't I just transform in front of people? In Majora's Mask, that game was all about transformations. You could transform into a Zora or a Goron or anything right in front of people, and they didn't bat an eye. So why is it that they randomly decide, oh, you can't turn into a human as a wolf? And worst of all, if you scare people too much, then even though you're in a secluded area where no one is able to see you, you suddenly can't turn into a human anymore, so you can't go into Telma's bar. That's stupid. That's not fun. I at least like how Agatha is innocent enough that she talks to the wolf and calls him a puppy. I'm sorry, but I don't speak puppy. Like that's pretty cute. But again, she isn't, like, she's too old for that. Is she like Tingle? Like, she doesn't. So basically, the game brought back the parries from Wind Waker, like with the Helm Splitter and the Back Slice, only they're not nearly as good or satisfying because you don't feel like they do a lot more damage than a regular attack. It doesn't help that there's no Hero's Charm in this game, so there's no way of knowing what attacks deal more damage. You just have to assume that the spin attack deals more damage. And that's the only attack that you have any reason to assume deals more damage, because you have to charge it up usually. As a result, I don't really see a point to using what became of the parry attacks, except when I absolutely have to, like with armor. Even then, I have no reason to feel like they deal more damage. Why can't they just bring back, like, why can't you just always know how much health the enemy has left? I think beat-em-ups do that. Like, the Werehog definitely does that. There's always a health bar above the enemies. And that always tells you how much health they have left and how much damage your attacks deal. You don't need to have some stupid hero's charm on your character, making them look awful just to justify a health bar. But yeah, basically every underground grotto is exactly the same thing. You defeat a bunch of enemies, you create a chest, the end. It's so unimaginative. Like, caves in Zelda are usually not this boring and bland. Like, I don't know. Yeah, the bees are pretty annoying. A good way to deal with them is to just, like, I think you need to use a slingshot to make the beehive fall down. And then you should go into the water. Because if you go into the water, then they won't be able to chase after you. But yeah, it's like, I know they want to be realistic, but it's not very realistic to have that many it's not very realistic to have grottos to begin with. Why doesn't the ceiling just collapse in on itself? Why is the grotto even a thing?